Good morning. I'm generally of the belief that it's more than just bad luck to vlog or blog or whatever about your own car. I think it's more of a curse. If you look at some of the people who have done videos about their experiences with their vehicles, or, oh, here's my new car. Let's just say the auto vlog guy, for instance, in his Mercedes AMG. You almost are destined to fail. And I made that mistake when I got this A6 TDI 2.5 years ago. And today is maybe the last day I'll be driving it. It's been sitting for a couple of months, as you can tell. It's quite dirty. And right now I'm taking it to the dealer. So that it can go for its diesel emissions fix. I only have 26,000 miles on it. It's not really broken in. The other thing too, though, is I'm not going to keep it. And that's because it's just time to move on. Even though the settlement is happening and I'm getting some money out of this, I still have to sell the vehicle. They're not buying it back. They're only repairing it and giving me a little bit amount of money. And I say a little bit because what they're offering is always at the low end of the scale that they have. But in my instance, I'm only getting 92% of the value of the vehicle as the estimation, and then they go from there. Even though I bought this after their cutoff date, they're still only offering 92%, less all their formula calculations. So I'm getting shortchanged. And the funny part is, when I made my arrangements to get this thing in for service for the emissions fix, well, I got a good story for you. So let me get my seatbelt on and head down the road. All right. So, like I was saying, I had to make an appointment to get the emissions fix in effect. And I called a dealer in the Dallas area, and I got the typical Audi service experience as of late. And that is, when you make a call to the dealer and you want service, it doesn't go to the dealer. It goes to a biz dev sort of company or service that captures data, customer data. And then they use that in the future to promote the dealer's crap to you. And I say it this way because when I made my appointment, they asked for my name and my address and my VIN number and all the stuff. How many miles do I have and this and that. And basically, by the time we got to the actual need of the actual appointment, and I kid you not, they said, oh, well, the soonest appointment we have is next week, and we will get you a courtesy shuttle. And I said, no. Under the settlement by the court, a loaner car is required. And she said, oh, well, let me check. Oh, yep. The nearest appointment with a loaner car is 2 weeks from now. And I went, that's unacceptable. And I had to explain over and over, basically, that as of the court settlement date, it needs to be processed within 60 days, and the dealer should have the parts so I can make an appointment and all that. But what she told me, get ready for this. I basically said, hey, do you have any sooner appointments for a loaner car? And she said no. And I said, well, you're supposed to be able to accommodate me for service, and you can't. To which she said, well, we have a lot of different cars in for a lot of different recalls, and that's why we don't have any loaners. That is the worst thing I've ever heard from anybody at any dealership level, or even when you're dealing with something at the manufacturer level. So to say that, oh yeah, your car's in for a recall, but so are others and they're in before you, that's pathetic, Audi. And that's coming from a biz dev department. So right there, you not only lost me on the TDI scandal, you now just lost me as a customer for your stupid excuses. So I continue and I call another dealer. And basically, that dealer has another biz dev department. It all goes to some 800 number. And they say, what campaign? What emissions thing? And I said, there was a settlement between the government and Volkswagen Group regarding the diesel emissions scandal. And she said, oh, well, if it's a settlement, you have to go through the court to get the repair. So I hung up, and finally I called a third dealer in the Dallas area, and I proceeded to request and demand a service advisor, somebody who should have answered the phone when I requested service in the first place. So this service guy answers the phone after they transfer me to him, and I proceed to just unload on this guy, this poor unwitting guy. I just basically let him have it. I basically tore into him for no reason at all on his part, but he handled it very well. And I said, look, I need to get this car off the reservation. This car needs to be taken out back and shot. And he understood that completely, and he said, great, I have a loaner car and I can handle you tomorrow, which is today. So today is the last day I'll be driving this vehicle, and what I'll tell you is I do have a few impressions of this vehicle, but I'm sure you have your own. But personally, I want to tell you why I'm getting rid of it. Let me get past this busy intersection, and I'll get right back to you. Okay, so for starters, diesel is a very good practice for long-range capability. You can go very far across Texas. You can go from Austin to Dallas and back to Austin. You can go from Dallas to El Paso to Austin, Dallas to Houston. You can make many different journeys on one tank, or even several journeys on the same tank. So in Texas, it makes a lot of sense. If you go between LA and Phoenix, it makes a lot of sense. There are places and times where this makes a lot of sense. However, when I bought this car, it was ordered and then it arrived on the boat just at the time that the EPA nailed Volkswagen for the 2-liter diesels. So I went ahead and proceeded with the purchase because when I contacted EPA, they said, oh, no, the 3 liters are still certified. They're fine. What they didn't tell me, and I used to work at EPA, what Julia Valentine didn't tell me was that they were still investigating the 3 liters. She didn't mention that. So at one point I took delivery of this vehicle September 30th, which was after September 15th. And I drove it, and literally November 2nd, they said, oh no, we don't like these either. So Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche denied, and then they admitted guilt on 3 counts of fraud. And what really gets me here is I had to hang on to this car for 2.5 years, make the car payments, and store it, and pay the insurance on it for 2.5 years. You can see how dirty the hood is. This car's supposed to be black. And in addition to that, I had to buy another car because if anyone had totaled this before the settlement or before the court made its decision, I would have been out. Hold on a second, here's a school zone. I'll come right back. Okay, so like I was saying, Audi as a brand, I have 2 A3s and 1 A6 TDI. And my family across the country, they have several different Audis. Most of them are A3s. They used to be A4s. I've had several. This is like my 7th Audi in 3 years. The reason why I say that is because you can buy an Audi at a really good price if you're good at negotiating, and then get rid of it in 6 months, and it would only cost you in depreciation $500 to $700, and you get into something different. Now, some people don't have that ability, but if you can afford an Audi, you should be able to afford to do that kind of stuff, and you should be able to have the skills to negotiate that kind of thing. And it wasn't just because I'm an automotive journalist. It was because I order the cars. I will order 2 cars at once and stagger the deals, blah, blah, blah. Long discussion for a different time. But basically, the reason why I'm done with Audi in general is because of the way they handled this service appointment situation at the dealer level, which wasn't the dealer level. It was the biz dev level, which was retarded. And it should have been a hotline for diesel owners. Number 2, the whole monkey gas chamber bull, which is completely unethical. And, you know, they're covering it up by saying, oh, it was a promotion guy that they hired, and it was trying to justify diesel and this and that. I don't care. Somebody knew something, and they can't just reel themselves in disgust and fire somebody over it. They must have known that there was some kind of research going on to prove something. They hired the freaking guy in the first place. But in reality, it's like this. I've driven a lot of press cars lately, and it seems like, with the exception of the GM Chevy Cruze, all the Germans have this stupid start-stop business on a non-hybrid vehicle. And I roll up to stop signs, and I roll through them because I don't want the engine to shut off for a quarter second while I come to a complete stop. And I've discovered that in other vehicles that I drive that don't have that feature, I still drive that way. I've been conditioned to drive like a jackass. And you'll see that in Audi drivers and BMW drivers and Mercedes drivers who are trying to avoid a complete stop so that their engine doesn't boom, boom, shut down and turn back on real quick. I mean, there's always been the argument that that's not good for an engine. I don't think it's good for an engine. I haven't heard or felt any anomalies during that process, but you know what? There are other ways to be efficient, zu Germans. So until they figure that out, I think I'm going to avoid going for a vehicle that has the start button, because they have changed it for 2016, and that no longer retains its memory. So if you've enabled this and you get back in the car, it's disabled again. It's just nonsense. It's program deficiency, and I do not like it. It's also why they're getting rid of manuals. They want program deficiency. It's just stupid. Anyway, getting back to the TDI nonsense. This car in general is already antiquated. See, it just shut off again. It's stupid. This car is already antiquated by the navigation system. It doesn't have Alexa integration, for instance. On the newer ones, they had SIM card slots. Well, now the SIM card slots will be maybe there, but totally disabled. You're gonna have to pay AT&T the ransom to get Google Earth. It's just coming out to be more of a software as a service type of vehicle. And when the new A6, A7, A8 models roll around with their dual touch screens and things, which is, dual touch screens are fine, you know, 2 screens stacked. That's what Infiniti does in their Q50, which I liked. But in this case, you can't go from a knob, which is very functional, which is reversed, by the way, on the 17A3 to this one. It's just, Audi has gone completely backwards between their cars now, and I don't even know how to operate my own cars going back and forth between the two that I most commonly use. And then I go into other manufacturers' vehicles as a journalist, drive a different car every week, and I used to consider the ride and the handling and the comfort of the A6 as the benchmark, which it used to be. But now there are many cars that do the job better or just as good as this. So there's no point in having a $75,000 Audi that's going to depreciate to $40,000 in 2 years if you can go pick up a $30,000 car or a $40,000 car and have just as good an experience, but protect yourself from stupid things like this auto stop start. So that's basically where I'm at. It's going to go to the dealer this afternoon. It's going to get repaired. And once I finish the repair, and I don't need to include the dealer in this, you know, they're just doing the work. I don't need to call any particular dealer out. I will just tell you that as a TDI owner and the overall experience, you need to be aware of why some of these diesel owners are dumping their vehicles. It's because they've just had enough. However, there are some people who have been jonesing for one, and I completely understand why. And they have to have one. And in this case, when a vehicle like these TDIs are repaired, you will have a 120,000 mile warranty for 8 or 10 years or something like that. So it is financially viable to do something like this if it's been repaired. But at the same time, what you need to do, nice. What you need to do basically is understand that people who got rid of them because they've been paying on them for 2.5 years. In my case, not even driving it, but paying for it. And what Audi should have done to begin with is buy the cars back or offer a trade-in credit and just let these owners be free. Now, if you're leased, you're a little bit better off than people who have owned, but not many people leased diesels. So there are a lot of owners of diesels who got the shaft. And even though I got a good deal when I bought this, I still got shafted. And the only way I can really prove that I'm owed more money is to get rid of it. And I have to show that I incurred damages, and I have to show that I'm mitigating my losses. And that's pretty much what it is. You have to file an appeal with the court. It goes through to 3 individuals, one with Volkswagen, one with the plaintiff steering committee, and one independent body. And they look at all these cases. And when I filed my appeal in January, I got a call, and they said it would take 6 months. I'm not going to sit on this car for 6 more months. It's going to keep depreciating, and it's just basically going to keep costing me money to insure, and I'm going to keep having a car payment on it. Now, the car payment's not that big of a deal, but the big deal here is they're still not owning up to the fact that they pled guilty to 3 counts, and the amount of money I'm getting is only really just about covering some depreciation, only if I didn't buy this new after the point. So I'm particular in a situation where I'm getting shafted, but all other owners are also getting shafted, just a slightly less severe than me. So anyone who purchased one of these new between September 15th and November 2nd, which is September 15th is when they should have not sold these cars. Anybody between September 15th and November 2nd is really getting screwed, and I'm one of them. And that's the whole purpose of this video. I'm getting rid of the car. I have to show I incurred damages. I have to mitigate my damages. And as nice as this car may or may not be to some of you, or it's a diesel, you should get rid of it, good for you, blah, blah, blah. I just figured I'd share this with you because I'm sure you're interested in what I plan on getting next, and I will share that with you later. But for now, I'm heading over to the dealer, and once the repair is done, the settlement money hits the account, and almost within like 24 hours. And then I can sell this car or trade it in or do whatever. And I already have plans for what I'm going to do. Something has already been ordered. And take your best guess, and we'll see if you're right. But please, thank you for watching. I know if you're a diesel fan, you're probably shocked. I'm not shocked. This is just kind of 2.5 years in the making. It's frustrating. It's expensive. And sure, I would have like 94,000 miles of warranty, but it's already a 2.5-year-old car. I've already had it for such a long time, and I already drive new cars every week anyway. I'm in a different situation. But I'm just really not interested in driving an old car at this point. Now, if you're buying it used, that's different. But if you've owned it since new, I'm just not the kind of person who holds a car for 10 freaking years. I just don't. So that's my whole purpose of this video. I'm moving on. This channel will still have content relevant to whatever is released if or unless manufacturers move on. We'll find out. Okay, I'm here in the loaner car. It's an Audi A3. Not what I expected coming out of an A6 for the settlement thing. It's not like they were giving any kind of mea culpa loaner car. Just the cheapest one they've got. It's interesting. I like the A3. It's fun, but I figured they would at least throw a bone to keep people happy, but nope. Anyway, my car is ready. On the same day I took it in for service. I took it in this afternoon, and it's ready before 5 o'clock. So I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to do a video of it afterwards, so we'll see what it sounds like, or if I can even notice any sound or performance difference after I pick it up. I'm also trying to get an appraisal from them, and if they're not good enough, I'm going to go to another dealer real quick just to see what I got for a value. I have a number in mind. I'll share that at the end, but for now, we shall go pick up my car. Okay, here it is, repaired. I'm at the Audi dealer. I'm doing this real quick because I don't have much battery left on my phone, but I haven't started it yet. Don't know what it sounds like. I got inside. Let's see if I notice a difference. Nope. Starts the same, sounds the same, idles the same. But what I'll do here is drive it home and give you maybe some impressions. I'm actually getting an appraisal at a local dealer to see what they would give me for it, and I may just get rid of it tonight. So we'll find out. So here's the first difference. I drove to my house and I'm in the garage driveway area, and now it sounds like a diesel. You hear that? So that's kind of a shocker. It's only at really low speeds. Just like a little clatter, clicky clack thing. And I had a Mercedes, an 08 Mercedes E320 Blue Tech that kind of had that sound. And nothing wrong with it. It's just that people are right when they say it does sound different. Even on a 16, which didn't need new cylinder pressure sensors, this thing just needed an O2 sensor and software update. And even I noticed a difference after having driven it to the house. I drove a couple miles. I'm not looking at the fuel economy right now. Right now I'm really looking at going to bed.